That is why I clap back respectfully at my man Roland Martin, not his panelists chirping and mimicking and laughing and giggling in the sideline like anybody know who the hell they are. I ain't talking about them. That's a waste of my time. I'm talking about my brother Roland Martin here. What I'm saying is these people that were behind the scenes before they came on as your panelists, I recall one person saying, I either need to know what the hell I'm talking about or admit that I'm 100% MAGA. I got news for you. I'm neither. I don't completely know all the intricate details, nor am I MAGA. I'm a registered independent who voted for Kamala Harris. Oh, by the way, they tried to sit up there and say, I didn't vote for Kamala Harris. I'm sorry, I thought y'all were about facts. I did vote for her. I had my issues. I had my reservations. But I was unapologetic about who I was voting for, and I was very transparent about it. Where's your facts?
All right, guys, so we got to continue our coverage of Stephen A. Smith and the backlash he has been getting from the Diddycrats, okay? Because the Diddycratic Party is upset with Stephen A. as a so-called black man coming out here and giving opinions that black people are not supposed to have when it comes to the Democrat Party and Trump, right? Stephen A. went on a rant against the Democrats because he has realized that over the past few years or so, he's been constantly lied to by the Diddycratic Party, okay? The Diddycrats love to project. They love to point the finger at Trump and other people, Republicans, and say, hey, these people are a threat to democracy. While at the same time, the Diddycratic Party, they don't believe in democracy, okay? They've lied about almost everything. They've lied about the economy. They lied about the border. They've lied about crime. They lied about January 6th. And that is what really pissed off the pro-black Diddycrats, okay? Like Roland Martin and his lackeys, okay, on his show. They got pissed off at Stephen A. and they went on this deranged rant against Stephen A., trying to crack the whip on him, trying to get him back on the Democrat Party plantation, okay? They see Stephen A. as a potential runaway slave, and they say, oh, no. We can't have that, right? We can't have Stephen A. coming out here and saying things like, for example, the narrative around January 6th was a lie, and that the government and Democrats have not been forthcoming about the FBI's potential involvement in January 6th. No. They can't have a prominent black man like Stephen A. saying that out loud, okay? So, again, they tried to crack the whip on him, and they're still raging over Stephen A. and his comments.
Look, what I said, Stephen A. Smith, to be clear, was that your words are dangerous. And if you're not going to actually apply the same journalistic principles that you use to your work in sports, if you're not going to apply it to politics, then you might as well come out as 100% MAGA, because you're using MAGA talking points and you're Tucker Carlson-ly saying, I'm just asking questions. Case in point, you refer to the insurrection as an insurrection with air quotes. That's a MAGA talking point. Do you believe the insurrection did not happen? Did you believe that it was a riot or a rally and just some people just got out of hand and that was what was going on? It was an insurrection. They disrupted the peaceful transfer of power. They did that. You can't just call that out journalistically. That's just a fact. And so, yeah, I called you out on that because to not speak that is to be dangerous. And then you said, oh, and they got this guy on the panel talking about he voted for Trump. He voted for Trump. He didn't vote for Kamala. Actually, what I said, Stephen A. Smith, was that I question whether you actually voted for Vice President Harris. And like you said, you're an expert in your own opinion. I'm an expert in my own opinion. So I'm just speaking my mind because I don't see how you can go at the Democrats in the way that you do. I'm somebody who critiques Democrats all the time. Roland critiques Democrats all the time. But the way you go at them, like I said, you have a lot of MAGA talking points. And you say things like, what happened with the FBI folks at the rally is even more, or insurrection, is even more evidence about the process being rigged. How do FBI personnel being at an insurrection talk about an election being rigged? And what does that have to do with Biden winning the election? He won by 80-something million votes, and Trump had like 70-something million votes. Like 80 is bigger than 70.
Yeah, so you see that, you hear that, okay? Roland Martin's lackeys are upset, okay? They're upset with Stephen A. Now, Stephen A., surprisingly, is not backing down to the pro-black Diddycrat mob. He actually has come out and said, you know what? I'm regretting voting for Democrats, right? That's basically what he said in his interview with Mark Levin. It is just kind of funny to watch Stephen A get red pilled in real time because I've covered so many of these videos, right? So many of these topics, so many of these stories about these Democrats that come out here and they criticize the Democrat Party, and then the Democrats push them away, right? The Democrats say, you're MAGA. Again, this party is imploding. It's imploding before our very eyes, okay? And it's extremely entertaining. This is what I'm covering. So without further ado, let's get into Stephen A getting red pill here.
Welcome back, America. Stephen A. Smith. So could you see yourself seeing what you see now? And obviously Donald Trump can't run for president again, but if he could, under the current circumstances, could you see yourself voting for him?
Quite possibly. I'm not going to sit up there and dismiss that anymore. I think we're beyond that. He would have to prove a lot, Mark. And I'm not talking about policy now. For a second, allow me to say this. What concerned me about Donald Trump and the reason I voted against him and voted for Kamala Harris was because I felt that he would be divisive, that he would create chaos because he demands such a level of loyalty and fealty to him. And that would take priority over governing our nation. That was my concern. And so I'm looking for both sides to work across the aisle from one another. Having said that, when you see some of the things that he said, if he follows through on some of the things that he has said, it's not just about eradicating inflation, improving the economy, obviously controlling our borders. These are all things that I care about. Make no mistake about that. And I certainly would support him in that regard. But it can't be just about fealty to him and loyalty to him. It has to be about getting the job done on behalf of what's in the best interest of the American people, as opposed to yourself, and not engaging in the kind of juvenile tendencies, tweeting all the time and going after people who are really much irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. You do things like that and you show that you're the adult in the room. Yeah. I don't think anybody could dismiss Donald Trump at this particular moment in time, not just because of him, but because of what we've seen the Democrats do. We're not falling for it any longer. The American people aren't falling for it any longer. I voted Democrat, and I got to tell you something right now. I don't like the fact that I did. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't want to hear about, oh, we're about law. We're about a law. Nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. But then you go out and you pardon your son and you try to blame everybody else for it. I don't want to hear about defund the police. I don't want to hear about, what there should be open borders. I don't want to hear this stuff. And I don't think most of the American people want to hear that.
You know what's hilarious about this? What's so hilarious about this is that the left, they're desperately trying to push a narrative that the American people are regretting their votes for Trump, right? Especially on black people, okay? There's all these clickbait videos out here of these woke revolutionaries, the race hustlers, pretending as if black people or the American people somehow have voters' remorse about voting for Trump when Trump's not even in office yet, right? Trump's not in office. How can you have voters' remorse when Trump is not even in office yet? We haven't even seen what the dude is going to do. But yet you do have Democrats who, currently are in power right now. Democrats are in power. You do have Democrats and their supporters that are having voters' remorse. Okay? Like, for example, again, Lindy Lee, who supported Democrats. She fundraised on behalf of Democrats, raised millions of dollars. Kamala Harris wasted all that money. Lindy Lee says, hey, I want answers. That's the only thing she said. She said, I just want accountability. I want answers for why is it that the money that I raised was wasted? Why? That's all she's asking for. And you got Democrats and their propagandists in the media, they're smearing her, going after her, saying she's a turncoat, right? Push her away from the party. Go be MAGA. Okay? Look at Stephen A. Smith. Same thing is happening. Stephen A. is basically criticizing the Democrats and all the mistakes that they made. Basically asking for accountability. Look what they're doing to him. Go be MAGA. You might as well just be MAGA. Jane, Anna Kasparian, they're doing the same thing. Criticizing Democrats. Go be MAGA, right? That's what the left, that's what they're doing, right? And they just haven't learned their mistake. Democrats have been pushing people out of their party for years now. For the past 8 years, they've just been pushing people away. And they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? I'm so serious. It's getting smaller. It's not good to be associated with the Democratic Party anymore. It's not. It's a stigma. We're going to talk a little bit more about that maybe in another video. Because I got more videos about Democrats coming out being upset with the party, right? But for right now, you're seeing the same pattern. Anybody that criticized the Democrat Party, even though the party lost, right? Now it's the time for criticism. Now it's the time for self-reflection. No, can't have it. Can't do it. Right? Can't do it. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. But when it comes to Stephen A. Smith and this whole Trump stuff, what I just outlined is exactly why I find his criticisms of Trump to be so hilarious. Because he pretends as if the Democrat Party doesn't demand complete loyalty and fealty to them, right? That's exactly what they do, okay? And again, Stephen A. is experiencing the consequences of when you fall out of line, right, with the Democrat Party. You get the lashes, okay? That's what they're doing to him right now. That's what they're doing to him right now. So for all of his criticisms of Trump, it's like, well, you can say the same thing about the Democrat Party. But again, the difference is that one produces good results for the American people and the other has produced terrible results. So again, I would much rather go with the guy that's a little rough around the edges when it comes to character, but yet gets the job done, rather than a guy or a person that has perfect character, but has terrible policies and results. Which, again, by the way, I want to make it clear, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, these are not people I would describe with good character. Okay, I'm just using this example because Stephen A. seems to be concerned about these intangibles. He's concerned about the mean tweets. But what Stephen A. has to realize is that the actual results are more important than the mean tweets. Okay? And all these things that he's complaining about as to reasons why he can't vote for Trump, you can apply this same stuff to the Democrats. Again, the difference is that Trump actually has a proven track record of successful policies that have been good for the country. That is the difference. And Stephen A. knows that. He knows that. And that's what frustrates me about individuals like himself, because now he may be coming out talking about how he regrets voting for Democrats and Kamala. And if there was another election held today, then, he might vote for Trump. And I'm like, well, it's too late. It's too late for that, Stephen A. You had a chance to do it before, and you chose not to, despite knowing all these things that you're talking about right now. You knew it. You knew it going into the election. You're not going to have another chance to vote for Trump. He's not up for re-election anymore. So, again, I just find this to be hilarious.
We're thinking about the state of affairs that's in. We're not about America only, but being about America and prioritizing what's going on in this nation with the desolate and the disenfranchised and everybody else in between, and looking out for the best interest of what it is for America. That is not a crime for an American politician or a commander-in-chief or a senator or a congressional figure to have that mentality. I want them to have that mentality. So I think about things along those lines. And I'm no longer interested in, nor do I believe any of us should be interested in listening to a bunch of fear-mongering to tell us who we shouldn't vote for. Why don't you come up with a plan that tells us why we should vote for you? That's what I'm interested in. And if Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Byron Donald, Marco Rubio, or the host of other Republican candidates coming down the pike, that's the kind of message that they're going to put forth, I'm down for it. I'm open-minded enough to make sure that I entertain that from a policy perspective. That's what I want for the American people. That's what I want for this nation.
That's why we love you, my man. Now, one quick question. I don't know.
Wow. Stephen A. He about to put his MAGA hat on, guys. He's out here talking about America first, right? He's sounding real MAGA right now. But this is what happens every single time. Every single time. Every time. They eventually come around and realize that, hey, we were right. We were correct the whole time. And now you have, again, these Democrats, the Diddycrats, they're pushing Stephen A. out. They're saying, Stephen A., get away from us. Okay? Instead of actually having this conversation about holding Democrats accountable, how they can improve, how they can get better. No. Stephen A., you might as well just be MAGA, right? Using MAGA talking points. You want to put America first? That's terrible, Stephen A. That's absolutely terrible. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.